Well, good afternoon, good morning. It's good morning in the NT, but it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I've also got Seb here with me, which is lovely. And Seb's going to be my driver of the slides for the start. So we might jump in, and I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands where we meet all across Australia for Orange Sky each and every day, and pay my respects to our elders past, present and emerging. Today I'm in Meanjin in Brisbane on Yagara and Turrbal country. And I pay my respect and acknowledge over 60,000 years of storytelling. And today's really about a story. It's lovely to open with a conversation. Orange Sky's been built on conversations, and we've been having conversations on these lands for over 60,000 years. So thank you for having us, Catherine. Got a long-term relationship with NT Shelter, particularly through Judith, who runs our remote programming, and through your CEO, Annie. So thank you for having us, and good to be in good company with all of you here today, spread across the Northern Territory. So I'm not going to talk for too long, but I am going to kick in and just kind of set the scene for those of you who don't know much about Orange Sky. And Seb and I are really just here to take you on a journey that we've been on as an organisation. So for those of you who don't know, Orange Sky is turning 12 this year, and we were started out by two best mates in Brisbane who saw a need and decided to do something about it. And the concept was really quite simple. It was, how do you provide access to free laundry for people who are doing it tough, no matter where they were? And so their idea was simple. It was to throw 2 washing machines and 2 dryers in the back of a van and see what could happen and how many people they could help. And it turns out it was quite a lot, but they didn't know that at the time. And they broke things and they fixed things and they started things and they tried new things, and they really set the ethos for what became part of our DNA, which was innovation being critical to how we can support people to solve one of our biggest problems, which is around homelessness, housing, and giving people in need access to what they need at that time. So what started out as a crazy simple idea in Brisbane 12 years ago has now grown exponentially to over 86 services across Australia. We also operate in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and we have over 11 services in the NT, and really proud to share that we launched in Yirrkala this week, which is our 12th service. So on the back of my screen, you can see the beautiful Maningrida, which was one of our first rollouts of our program or our new kind of program where we partner with Aboriginal controlled organisations, and we make sure that it is community-led. Very much the local community organisation is responsible and accountable for all of the staffing for the modelling, how we make sure that it's rolled out across and for that community. So Orange Sky is so much bigger than we ever thought it could have dreamed it would be. And now to be operating in all these unique locations that have and need a very different model depending on what that community needs, which is very similar to what you're doing, right? It's understanding, listening to your community, and then determining what the best service is to support them. And that's really what Orange Sky does now. We provide access to free laundry, safe hot showers, but most importantly, conversation and connection over that 45 minutes of that load of laundry into other services, which a lot of those services in our remote communities are health-based services for RHD, scabies, and other health-related concerns. So how did we end up here talking about AI? Well, this is Lucas, one of our co-founders and CEO, and he was really fortunate to be given the opportunity to go on a Churchill Fellowship last year. And during that time, he had the opportunity to see how homelessness and housing was being addressed in Europe and the UK. And one thing that really stood out to him during that conversation, and whilst meeting with over 100 different organisations, was the lack of discussion about how AI and data could help to solve this major problem that we're dealing with. And often, I'm sure you hear, it's the commercial or the corporate sector that leads, and then the not-for-profit sector follows. And he kept on asking the question, but imagine if we could use data and AI to solve homelessness, and how that could really support us on our journey. And why should we wait? And why not come together as a sector and try to solve this problem together? And so he put that challenge onto me, and he said, okay, well, what can we do at Orange Sky to use AI to help us to expedite the support we're trying to give to people experiencing homelessness or hardship or lack of access to laundry facilities. And so started our challenge, which was to really look at what is the problem that we're trying to solve, how AI can support it. And the first step, keep going, Seb. The first step for us was to come together as a group and understand what our vision is. How could we curate that response to support our 80 staff that support our 86 services, 5,500 volunteers, and hundreds of over 550 shifts that happen every week, by giving them a tool that could help them to do their jobs more effectively, more efficiently, to help them to create better outcomes. And so this is us ideating and dreaming and innovating about how we'd roll out and ensure adoption and enablement of AI really quickly across our 80 staff, and then start to consider how can we make it really reflective of what what Orange Sky stands for as a brand, and how we like to make sure that anyone who comes into interaction with Orange Sky has a really positive, meaningful, authentic experience. And so we had lots of fun doing it, and the most valuable lesson we learned when we started this journey in December last year was the hardest thing to do is to take the first step. And I'm sure you can probably all relate to that, but the best thing we did was get started. So depending on where you are in your journey, that's my number one question to you guys. So we might keep going. And I thought I'd take this as an opportunity. There's not many of us here today, but just to understand a little bit more about each of you. So I'd love to know, if you want to drop it in the chat, what would you use to describe how you feel about AI? And maybe not only just your sentiment, the sentiment within your organisation. Excited? Great. It's always a good feeling. Interested? Thanks, Grace. Interested and excited? Good. That's wonderful. Thanks, Henrietta. Excited. Well, they are all good feelings, and they're all good ones that we can respond to. And there's not so much nervous. A little skeptical is good, Kelly. Thank you. And I think it's important when you are an organisation built on human connections, which is all of ours, that you have a level of skepticism to understand, well, what are my boundaries? What are my stage gates when I'm interacting and interfacing with that? And we're going to share a little bit about that today. Thanks, Seb. Maybe just to understand for now, how often are you using AI tools at work specifically? So maybe just pop that in the chat as well. So we've got daily, weekly, rarely, or never. Daily, thanks, Catherine. That's awesome. And maybe pop in the chat what tool you're using. Daily, everyone's daily. And maybe pop your tool of choice in there. Sean, thanks for joining. Oh, super cool. Well done. That's really cool, Henrietta. ChatGPT and Claude Copilot. Yeah. Amazing. Fantastic. And I might jump into the next one, which is tying up emails, Copilot. Thanks, Kelly. Lawyable.dev. Oh, Henrietta, what's that? I don't know that. I'll have to Google that a little bit more. Everyone's using AI agents. Awesome. Love it. Super cool. So maybe moving on to that next question, what would you need in order to utilize AI more effectively at work? So is it more tools? Is it an endorsed organizational approach? Is it better privacy and security, or is it more training? Privacy and security. Thanks, Henrietta, particularly if you're doing coding. I'm sure you'd love a bit more on that. Org approach and training. Amazing. org approach and training. So maybe just follow on that chat in the message with, has your organisation endorsed a specific tool, or are you all free for all doing whatever you want? Endorsed versus free for all. Let's go with that. I don't know if that's technical language, but we'll go with that today. No endorsement. Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah. Unofficially endorsed. Thanks, Grace. Free for all, but working towards endorsement. Great, Nicole, really good to hear. And that's really probably the big journey we went on, is we were starting to see it at an executive level. There was a confidentiality org approach, currently free for all, but working towards. We're dealing with so much sensitive data at Orange Sky. We have over 45,000 donors and supporters. Like I said, we have 5,500 volunteers, and we have tens of thousands of people who entrust us with their information to support them with their free laundry and safe hot showers. So it was really important that as an executive, we took on the responsibility of how do we make sure that any PII data is safe, any information that's being stored, that our staff had that confidence to use it with such conviction and to know that we would support them on that journey. So we're going to share a little bit about what that looked like for you today. We're going to give you everything that we've done, because for us, the only way for us to solve some of the biggest problems that we've got in the world is for all of us to be equipped with the tools to go about and do it. So take it, use it, permission for you to influence and advocate to your either yourself if you've got the ability to make that happen, or to your leadership team, to make sure that you have that endorsement, you have those tools, you can copy and paste it, you can do whatever you want, you can roll out the training. So this has been our AI journey so far. We started with our AI vision, we moved on to AI enablement and adoption, and our current state is really what Seb's going to talk through with you today. And he's also going to share some user cases for how we've been able to increase that adoption, and maybe spark some ideas for yourselves about what those user cases are and how you can centralize that within your own organizations. And then keep your questions coming. I'm going to moderate the questions now as well. So I'll try and stack those up. And if we can't get to everyone, we'll respond in an email to everyone as well. I think we can keep going. Yeah. So our AI journey so far, because we are people first, we really wanted to make sure that people remain center of what we do, which is, I'm sure, similar to everything that you've decided on as well. So for us, it was about using AI to deepen our impact and broaden our reach whilst keeping human connection at the center of everything we do. So in our first wave, we really wanted to make sure that we were using it from a time, cost, and efficiency perspective. This was a real aha moment. If you haven't seen this graph before, has anyone seen it? Maybe raise your hand if you've seen it. It was really powerful, and you might find it helpful you can see what I've done is I've mapped our journey against the three core waves of how AI is unfolding as a revolutionary technology, kind of similar to the Industrial Revolution. And when we did the process of mapping Orange Sky's journey, it became really relevant to me about why it was so important to start now, because we were so far away from wave 3, which is new systems, new waves of transformation, and the level of change that we really needed to have in order to have the impact we wanted to have to support more people. So really what we were looking at is automating processes and streamlining workflows, which is really what I'm hearing a lot of you are in. Maybe Henrietta, if you're building code, then you're in a different stage to some of us. I'm not building any code, let's just be honest. So it was really about streamlining operations, cutting time, and getting more time back to be able to be frontline with your people. The second wave was really about quality and better output. So rethinking systems and opportunities for elevation of what those systems are. And I'm really proud to say that we're starting to shift further into that stage, but we've still got a long way to go as an organisation. And then last is where I'm really excited about, and my vision is for the next 4 years that we will get to, which is what do new systems and transformation look like. So an example of that is particularly from a customer journey or experience perspective. Everyone knows what a PDF is, but it's really about like, how do you build those interactions to make sure that the content that that person's receiving is segmented to their interests, their motivations, the type of brands that they like to see, and delivering it in a really responsive digital first way. So that might be what a new example of a system would look like, a bit like what your Netflix has done to disrupt the market and the sector of free-to-air. So new tech to build new categories is really what our vision is. And we're still, as you can see, a long way away. So that helps if you are having conversations with your leadership team on investment, resources, endorsing a tool or a strategy or a governance framework. If you map your own journey and where you're at the moment, if you're still very much in that first quadrant and at the beginning of it, it demonstrates to them how important it is for them to invest the time, energy, and effort. Thanks, Seb. So how do we enable our team to get the most out of AI? Well, I'm really excited that I've got the far more capable Seb with me today, who's going to give you some examples and talk you through what we've done today. And like I said, if you don't have a whole organisation approach or endorsement, please take everything we've given you, feel free to change it and make it appropriate for your business, and go forth, and hopefully AI can save you more time so you can help more people. Thanks, guys, and it's lovely to have you here today, and I'll be moderating the chat, so feel free to pop any questions in. Thanks, Seb.
Cool. Thanks, Laura. I might turn my... Hear me better. There we go. Perfect. Thanks for that intro, Laura, and I think that I know you said I'm far more capable, but I think keep this in mind that coming into this AI world about 6 weeks ago, I was like, might jump on ChatGPT once a fortnight, ask it a couple of questions on, what animal is this? So this is just coming, I'm just saying that as a way to say that I was completely new to the whole AI universe, the ever-expanding universe that is AI. And so everything that I say today is kind of everything that I've been learning over the last 6-week journey that I've been on with AI at Orange Sky. Cool. So with that said, I'll take the journey on from where Laura left off. So Laura and Katie did a really great job at outlining our vision at Orange Sky for AI. But now it came to, okay, how do we turn that vision into something that the team can really take and run? Sorry, go. So to kick that off, we went to the team and we wanted to get a really good baseline understanding of how everyone is using AI currently. And it was a kind of free-for-all, people using kind of sporadically. And we really wanted to understand what the team needed to effectively move forward. And so with that, these were the top kind of outcomes that came through that survey. So training and understanding, the organization approach, and it was a lot on just clarity of, what can I do? What can't I do? What is going to be risking PII data? We're finding that the team didn't want to do anything wrong or put anything out there, so they just weren't using the tools because they were unclear. And so with that, we developed an AI policy that made it just really crystal clear of like what you can do and what you can't do, just to give the team confidence in what they can use. We also developed AI principles for Orange Sky. So there's a lot of noise around AI and the ethics around it. So putting some really strong Orange Sky principles around that to make sure that we are using AI for the better good. And some risk assessments, and that kind of looks like kind of research and deep diving to different tools and where is this data going? When you put in a prompt, where does that go? And just really making the team feel really confident that they're not going to be breaking anything, leaking anything. So with that, there's only so much planning and talking that you can do with AI. And so we really needed to kind of get a tool out there, get everyone kind of on board running with it. We did a lot of research at huge number of tools, what seems like an unlimited amount of tools out there. And we landed on Gemini. And that was for a lot of reasons. We are currently in the Google ecosystem. So Gemini kind of slots in really nicely with our, Gmail, Google Docs, G Drive, Calendar. It's also like kind of made sense from a pricing point of view. And as well from a security point of view, Gemini has some pretty strong like barriers there. So we were giving the team confidence with that. And I think at the time, Gemini was like the tool that made the most sense. But what we've been finding is that there is no right tool. At the end of the day, there's every organization, every team is going to be different, going to have different needs. And so we're not saying that Gemini is the best tool. It just made the most sense for us and in our circumstances. Cool. So now we've got the guardrails, the rules. People are super clear on what they can and can't do with AI. We have our tools in place that they can use. So now it was time to get it to the team, get people using it, and just basically start learning. We found that there was the early adopters and the people that were already using AI a lot and could just take Gemini, and they were super happy to kind of run with it. But there was a few big blockers, I guess, for the rest of the team. And again, that comes back to a bit of the noise around AI. And the team were kind of confused about all the jargon that was coming out, and they weren't super clear on like the orange sky context of this all. And so I won't go into too much detail about this in the next slide because it is on our AI hub that we'll share with you all at the end. But this was about creating the resources to train and upskill, I guess, the rest of the team that weren't using AI frequently, to give them confidence in using AI at Orange Sky. And so we developed our principles, and we gave examples of like what that looks like in action and in practice, and examples of keeping human in the loop and what does that mean when you're developing prompts. What's best practice? How do we keep the human in the loop so AI isn't just writing all of our work and that's getting sent out to whoever. And so that gave, I guess, the team a lot of confidence. We developed a training series, which again, that'll be part of the AI Hub. Give it a watch. And it, again, wasn't anything like new or groundbreaking. It just took all of that AI, that AI noise and just put it in an Orange Sky context, just to make it super simple for the team. And so that was about 6 months ago, and the team has done a really good job at just taking AI and just running with it. We wanted to do a bottom-up approach and just see how people are using AI. We found that everyone thinks differently and their processes are all different. And it's been really, really cool seeing how everyone's been using AI in their own way. And, it's unlocked new ways of thinking, of how we can use AI, where it's the most valuable. And the hype was real. Everyone was super on board, and experimenting with Gemini, building their own gems, building their own notebooks, sharing it with the team. And there was just this really like good excitement across the board. And here you can see I've put in the Gartner hype cycle, and that orange line is basically where the last 6 weeks have been. So it's gone really high, but we're starting to find now that AI has its downfalls, and the hype across some of the team is starting to slow down. And that's essentially where we're at with our journey now. We kind of found this big, like, every AI platform is promising the world, and we took that, and now we're finding all the different gaps along the way. So with some people starting to kind of drop off their AI exploration, how do we kind of bring them along the journey, keep them thinking forward, and getting us to that kind of third wave? So there's been a bit of a focus change between Laura, Katie, and myself. Up until this point, we were thinking, what is the best tool in AI, and how can our team use it? But we're really finding is that it's not about an AI tool. It's about building a system, building the skills, building the mindsets in which AI can thrive in your organization. Because what is best practice in AI today is definitely going to be different tomorrow, and it's definitely going to be different next week. And so it's kind of shifted into, okay, how do we build this system that can shift with AI? And so a bit more detail on that. With our team, we've been kind of seeing there's 3 personas kind of coming through. And so we have, I guess, the architects that are really using AI to its furthest abilities. They're exploring ways to make agents. They're exploring new integrations, and they're kind of leading the way. And here at Orange Sky, we call them our accelerators. So it's kind of like a working group that champion these AI tools and support the team. And so they're kind of not the people we're super worried about. They're the ones that are just spearheading the charge. Next, we have the operators that are just using AI, but they're not really exploring new ways of working. And then finally, we're still working on this term. So it's me and Katie have been brainstorming the name, but it's the others, and they're the ones that won't use AI. They'll just, if it pops up on their screen, they might click email summary. And we're trying to think that how do we get them along the journey with us? And we've been finding that this whole time we've been doing this bottom up. We give you the tools and resources. Good luck. Tell us what you found. But it's kind of transitioning from the ones that did want to explore have explored, but now is it time to shift to a bit more of a top-down where we can give the team some tools, some plug-and-play tools that might not be 100% of what they need, but it's about 80%, but they don't have to invest the time in their already busy lives and day and work day to kind of deep dive into these processes. And then on the tool side of things, every team at Orange Sky happen to use a myriad of different tools. And so having that one Gemini system, we're finding that there's a lot of barriers, particularly with how the business as usual systems that the teams use integrate with AI. And we're just finding that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. So where we're at, we're exploring, I guess, a system that can tie in all the different tools that the teams are using. And I guess kind of an update on that, we've been doing some trials with LangDoc. For those of you who haven't experimented with LangDoc, it's a really good way of connecting, let's say, Gemini with, let's say, Slack or Salesforce, or you can build custom integrations with WhatsApp or whatever your tools are using. It's kind of that link between, I guess, your engine like Gemini and all your other systems. So we're exploring different ways of, with this shifting AI world, how can we how can we build our system around it, that if one day Gemini is our tool of choice, and then Claude releases a bunch of updates, and the team is like, we need Claude. That's an easy pivot for us. And how do we upskill the team to be okay with that change? How can we train them that an agent or a gem in Gemini is just the same as an agent in any other program? And so we're kind of in this transition phase of got Gemini, but then how do we build the system around it to evolve with an ever-evolving world? And I guess that kind of comes to our roadmap, which is where we're at now. So we've launched the strategy. We've set our adoption plan. We've built the trainings and the resources and the governance for the team. We've gone through 6 months of testing, trialing, getting feedback, using the accelerators to go and explore the AI world, getting new ways of working. And we're still just kind of sitting in that testing and evaluating portion of our journey. Cool. So I'm gonna have a quick pause there before I get into some AI use cases that we have. I can't see the chat, but is there any? Do you want me to keep going? Perfect. I'll keep going to some use cases. How are we doing for time?
Cool.
Perfect. Cool. Here's a quick terminology on agents, but based on the chat before, I think everyone's pretty well across what an agent is, or like a project or knowledge base, which is, I guess, some of the examples I'm going to go through at the moment. So I've pulled out a couple of use cases along this 3-wave of adoption and implementation graph. So let's start with wave 1 and some examples that we're using currently. So this one is about our policies and giving a place for our team to be able to quickly gather information. So is that going to play? Perfect. So here I'm putting together a notebook on our policy documents. For ease of time, I compiled all of our policy documents into the one PDF. But in Notebook LM, you can just drop in I think up to 400 files or something. And giving this a title. And so, the purpose, like I said, is just essentially a chat where anyone in the team will have access to this notebook and they can just ask it whatever questions they have. So it's given me the title. It's given me it's taken the policy document, given me a quick intro on what it can do. And so this basically takes whatever documents you gave it, and it will just pull all of the data from that document. It won't be pulling any data from any outside sources. So let's say I want to know about what is this Choose Your Own Adventure development program that maybe Laura's asked me about my development, and she's mentioned, what if I want to choose my own adventure and I have no idea what she's talking about? I can come into this notebook and just ask it, what is it? And it'll just find it in whatever resources I gave it, and give me back an answer. And you can ask it any question. So here I've asked it, maybe the development plan is stressing me out and I want to take some time off now, but I don't know the process, or I don't want to go through our whole intranet to find the policy document. I don't know where it lives. I don't want to read a 200-page document to find it. You can just directly ask the notebook and it'll give you exactly what to do. It'll also reference exactly where it's getting the information from. So it's not hallucinating. It's not making anything up. It's not trying to fill the gaps. It's only giving you exactly the information that is there. Cool. So that was our policies one. This one. on that notebook train, we've put together some of our volunteer survey data, and we've just dumped it all straight into Notebook or Notebook LM. And that's helping, let's say, one of our staff members, Joey, he looks after volunteer experience. And with all of the survey data from the last couple of years, it's helping save time in pulling out the information quotes that he needs. So there's a bunch of different tools that you can use on here. Here we've got some reports that you can just pull from it. And again, that's just pulling everything from only from the resources you gave it. It's not making anything up. And here's an example report that it's pulled. So it's giving our team, it's saving our team time having to go through and manually pull out all of these insights or quotes, or where is this information in 20 spreadsheets across 5 different years. It's kind of just pulling it all into one place. Cool. So that was just kind of some of our time cost efficiency examples that we're using. I won't go into the examples of, just using like a general chat on Gemini to draft you up an email, but there were some of the examples we used to kind of save time and make our process more efficient. As we transition into wave 2, we've been developing some gems. This one I'll go through quickly. This one's still in kind of testing and iterating. As I guess what I've found is that gems and agents are, get super iterative and kind of living creatures that you need to keep training and updating. But this is one that we're testing at the moment. I've called it Carl. And it's basically a way for us to take raw interview data from volunteers, friends, and turn it into stories for our socials or the website, or whatever kind of you need to give it. And so, yeah, here we've got the instructions, just copy paste your transcript. I've just gone ahead and I've just gotten Gemini to make me a sample transcript of a fake interview. So this didn't happen. But I've just copy pasted that straight in, no context. And what the gem has done is given me this back. And I'll touch on this for a sec, because going back to our principles that we had, the AI principles that we initially gave to the team, we remember that one of them was keeping the human in the loop. And so what we've trained Carl to do is, when you give it a transcript, it doesn't just immediately give you something back. It asks you questions. It makes sure that you've uploaded the brand guidelines. So it's not going to be taking any language or spelling or tones from the internet. It's just going to be taking it straight from our brand guideline, and it'll acknowledge that it has it. So it gives you kind of confidence that on whatever it's producing is going to be to the guideline. And so we've kind of given it all of these instructions on what we need, and then it's given us back any clarifying questions. So here I've answered the clarifying questions just briefly. And it's given us back down the bottom the draft outputs. So it's given us the Instagram captions and some storyboard copy straight from the interview transcript. Our next gem is to do with looking at new service areas and the deep research that goes with that. So Kat, who developed this this gem, used to have to do weeks worth of research to build out a report to see if there's a new area, if the new area is viable for a new service and what that service would look like, what the appetite is for volunteers. But we've put all of that training into this gem. So now we can just put in Charters Towers, and it builds this report based off previous reports that Kat has done. So it can be that exact kind of level of quality that Kat requires. So I'll skip through this report as well because I want to get on to another use case. But you can see here that we've trained this gem to only be pulling from, I guess, reputable sites, but as well provide all of the sources that it's pulling from so that we know if we need to check in on any data that, like, this is coming from somewhere a bit random, or this is coming from, like a really like trustworthy page, but it'll give us back exactly where it's found everything, just kind of de-risking this whole output. And then here we can see we've developed the report that's ready to be passed on to senior leadership, or if it's a kind of a no-go, we have the report there that we can put into our Google Drive. So we don't have to do this research again. It's all kind of stored in one place. So as we transitioned into this wave 3 of new systems and transformation, we've definitely been experimenting with a lot of tools outside of Gemini. And we are still definitely working through a lot of things, but we're currently on a trial with Asana and their AI teammates, which, for those of you who don't use Asana, it's where we do our project management and track our tasks and projects and portfolios. And we've been experimenting with building agents directly into Asana to see, what does that process look like? And so if we take that service scoping use case I just showed, this is what it might look like in this wave 3. So let's say we have Asana integrated with an Asana form, the website, an expression of interest through emails, any other forms that might come through. And let's say someone's put out their Otipoti as a potential service location. So as you can see there, we have a service location deep researcher AI teammate directly in. And I've just asked it, can you build me a report on this? And based off the previous reports that Kat has put together, it will build this report basically exactly like that gem did in that previous example. And so here in the comments, it's telling me exactly what it's done, what it's doing. And this process is, again, the exact same as that gem I just showed you. However, it's now pulled together the next steps and tagged me directly into what needs to be done next for the decision that it made. I'm pretty sure in the report it said that Otipoti was a green light and that we should look into it further. And so it's built me out these tasks of what's next. There's the report it gave me, again, with all the sources. And so if we click on just a random one of these, let's go, what partners we can partner with. It's given me objective, actions, and what it needs. Then I'll ask it, okay, what partners, what are the top 5 partners that that I'll need to talk to and reach out to? So I've asked it that. Skip forward. And then it starts working away in the background. You can see exactly what it's thinking. So if it's starting to go in a weird direction, you can stop it and pull it back. but it all looks pretty good. And so now we can see in this task, it's letting me know what it's done. These are the 5 partners that we should reach out to. And then it's also assigned me, if we click on one of these, it'll assign me, why is this a priority? Why is it a fit? Website, email, phone number, and as well, like why it selected it. So what we should be asking. But again, this is just trial stage and lots of experimenting, and we have the vision, but it's just about finding the time and putting it together. And as well, finding out what is this going to cost us, because some of these programs aren't cheap, and that's why we're just doing trials to see, what is our ROI going to be? Is it worth it, or is it just are we just shooting ourselves in the foot? Yeah. So those are the use cases. That's been a bit of our journey. I'll pause there, open the floor to questions. I think we've got about 10 minutes left. And I'll leave this screen up on your screens, and that's just a link to our AI hub. So there you'll find our policies, our roadmap, the staff training that Laura and Katie did, and so a few other resources that you can all go and use and run with.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Seb. Well, I might jump into, there's a few questions coming through. Let's kick off with Kelly, and feel free to drop them in the Slack, in the comments task. But thanks so much, Seb. Hopefully that was really useful. And for those of you who are at the beginning of your journey, hopefully there's some inspirational things in there and some aspirational user cases you can start thinking of. Or if you're a bit like Henrietta and you're coding your way through new teammates and agents, then you've probably potentially done some of this and can teach us a few things or two. So jump onto that QR code, drop your questions in here. The first one is, what was the setup time for example, that Asana teammates? And is it as time consuming as it sounds?
Great question. I think that's something I was really worried about. What made it better for us was we already had that agent built, that gem built. And what's great about Asana teammates, and I guess agents in general, but Asana teammates, is that as you launch it, you can give it feedback. And so I just straight copy pasted this gem straight into it and then just press go. And then as it's been running, I'll give it instructions like, actually, no, put this in a Google Doc, make me tasks. And as you add that in, it saves that as memory. And so the initial setup didn't take long, but in this kind of trial phase, you kind of have to play around with it a little bit to, I guess, get it to a place where you're happy to launch it with the rest of the team. But yeah, I think depending on your complexity of your gem and agent, some can take, a couple minutes to get up and running, and then some can take, a week or two of fiddling around with to get right.
The next question was from you, Catherine, and it was just regarding how we engaged our entire team, and understanding whether we did this directly or you needed an IT leader. My experience as a leader at the organisation is that it really does take that bottom-up, top-down approach. So we had endorsement and permission from our CEO level. I am no AI expert. I am definitely not an AI expert. I'll put my hand up and say that now. But I think what I've learned is that it's all about having a crack, and we're in an AI revolution now. So what was really powerful with any form of building community or engagement, in my view as a leader, is listening and asking good questions or curious questions. So we have surveyed our team consistently over 5 times now in the past 18 months. So it really gives you some data and evidence to have conversations at a strategic level, which I've found really powerful for me, because if my team are saying, hey, we want to use AI, and I've got half the team using ChatGPT, the other half using Copilot, some using Claude, and they're all including confidential information, then I have an obligation at a risk and directorship level to put some guardrails around that, which is why it's in the best interest of your executive to form an opinion and perspective on it, which is what we hope. You can absolutely copy and paste our AI policy and make it relevant to your team. Doesn't matter if you're a team of 5 or 50 or 500. The reality is you have to have something, and that was where we got to. I am not an IT leader. I have led devs and big tech teams, etc. But actually what it needs is not technical leadership. It needs someone who knows how to have a vision, inspire a team, listen to what they want, and then constantly ask for feedback, which has been the power of Seb and Katie, who are deep in the tools now, is they're actually able to get that feedback, which is we've got people using Claude now because they love Claude Dev. And that means they're going outside of our guardrails. And instead of putting my head in the sand and ignoring that, I'm saying, okay, find out why and what's our solution in the short term to fix it. And that solution is Langdoc, which is a stacking tool. So you know, you've got to be attuned to that. Otherwise, you're coming into risk, a risky approach as an organisation. Thanks, Grace. Thanks, Henrietta. Any other questions, team? We've got about 4 minutes to go. Is there anyone who's thinking, oh, this is a stupid question, I'm not going to ask it? I guarantee you, I knew nothing about AI 10 months ago. All it could do for me was give me some beautiful interior design tips on my children's bedroom. So now it's doing a few more things for me, which is good. All right, team. Well, has everyone saved that QR code down? I think we've got our emails there, so you can drop Seb an email. You feel free to email me as well. Very happy to. We've been answering questions from people. Happy to have deeper conversations. But please feel free to copy and paste, rinse and repeat anything we've shared with you. Please go forth and continue on your journey. Really appreciate your time today. Thank you, Seb, for being far more proficient in demos than I am, and far better at the skills. And thank you, Catherine, for having us. Thanks, everyone, from dialing in from the NT. And I hope our paths can cross. Like I said, I'm in Alice in a couple of weeks, which I'm really excited about. So all my friends in Alice, if you see me walking around lost with 2 children, please shout hi. And yeah, hopefully we see you at Orange Sky and at one of our shifts sometime soon. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Laura and Seb. Really, really appreciate you sharing your story and journey with us. Even hearing it the second time, I just love it. And what I really love about your story is how you involved your team. You're checking in, you're getting that feedback, and you're adapting. And it was really great to see some of those use cases that have changed since the last time which I think the speed that things are changing is just so ridiculously fast, and your presentation demonstrated that too. From when was, I think that was what month are we in? May, I think, was the Thrive. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing and for your time today. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, Catherine. See you, everyone.
Bye, guys.